Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Let me try again. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you. I give thanks and honor to all fathers on earth. Today, we have a worship service celebrating Father's Day. And I prepared a small gift for the oldest father in our church, Ralph Mauler. He is 94 years old and has served our church, I believe, throughout his whole life. He actively attends worship service every single Sunday. He's there, and a monthly fellowship dinner. So representing all fathers in our congregation, I want to present this small gift with our congregation's whole heart. According to the Bible challenge schedule, happy Father's Day. We read 2 Corinthians chapter 11 through 13 and Galatians chapter 1 through 4. Reading today's passage, you might have been somewhat confused and perhaps found it difficult to understand what Paul talked about. For example, Paul said, I know a person who 14 years ago was caught up to the third heaven, whether in the body or out of the body. I do not know. God knows. He also continued, and I know that such a person was caught up into paradise and heard things that are not to be told, that no mortal is permitted to repeat. We assume that the person refers to Paul himself. Paul boasted that he was caught up to the third heaven or paradise and heard secret things that he was prohibited to tell others. Wait a second. Reading Acts, Romans, and 1st and 2nd Corinthians, we came to know that Paul boasted in Christ alone, and regarded everything related to his career as rubbish. However, he boasted about himself here. What happened to him and to Corinthian church? All this happened since false apostles came to the Corinthian church after Paul left. Paul said, for if someone comes and proclaims another Jesus than the one we proclaimed, or if you receive a different spirit from the one you received, or a different gospel from the one you accepted, you submitted readily enough. Since their false teachings, their true faith was wavering, and Paul's apostleship was challenging. Some church members said, his letters are weighty and strong, but his bodily presence is weak and his speech contemptible. In addition, probably Paul's most significant weakness was that he was not among Jesus' 12 disciples. Paul's opponents emphasized this fact and boasted, showing their pride, including about their spiritual abilities. And they insisted that they gained recognition by the 12 apostles. It seemed that they had numerous influence on the believers in Corinth. Against the false apostles, Paul said, for such boasters are false apostles, deceitful workers, disguising themselves as the apostles of Christ. And no wonder. Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. And he decided to approach the believers the same way. To my shame, I must say, we were too weak for that. But whatever anyone dares to boast of, I am speaking as a fool. I also dare to boast of that. Something he was proud about was the experience of visions and revelations described in today's passage. To the false apostles and their followers in the church, Paul clearly expressed that he also had a spiritual and mystical experience. However, Paul recognized that his mystical experience would bring some risks to the Corinthian believers. He said, "But I refrain from it so that no one may think better of me than what is seen in me, or heard from me, even considering the exceptional character of the revelations." After that, he paradoxically enumerates his weakness. "Therefore, to keep me from being too elated, a thorn was given me in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me, to keep me from being too elated." Paul had a thorn, which could be a physical illness. Well, some say that the thorn refers to Paul's chronic eye problem, malaria, migraines, epilepsy, or a speech disability. So Luke, a doctor, always accompanied Paul on his missionary journey. Others say that the thorn also could be a temptation, spiritual issue, or a relationship problem. No matter what his thorn was, it might have disturbed Paul's daily life and his missionary journey. So Paul appealed to God to be healed 3 times. But God responded, "My grace is sufficient for you, for power is made perfect in weakness." With regard to God's response, Paul said, "So I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me. Therefore, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardship, persecutions, and calamities for the sake of Christ. For whenever I am weak, then I am strong." Facing physical pains, spiritual issue, and/or relationship problem at every single moment, can we understand and accept the statement that God's grace is sufficient for me? What does it mean that power is made perfect in weakness? How can we be content with our weakness, insults, hardship, persecutions, and more? Paul lived as he taught. So does he suggest a higher level of Christian life that is almost impossible for average Christians to reach? We may have the same experience in that if everything around us is sufficient, money, health, relationship, more, we come to fall into narcissism. Everything is possible because of our abilities. As a result, the more we have, the less we seek God and ask God's guidance. On the other hand, when we face obstacles that we cannot handle by ourselves, we come before God and kneel and ask God's guidance and healing. The less we have, the more we depend on God, and our sufficiency is filled with God's power. That is why Jesus said, "The poor in spirit are blessed." I believe this is not a cheap religious consolation. It is the truth that people It is the truth that shows real spiritual power in lives. For Jesus, the cross seems a failure of life. People believed Jesus would be the king and save them from tyranny in Roman Empire. This morning, I woke up around 5:30, and then I joined the annual conference in Hampton, and then I woke up in the early morning, and then went out to Nokesville, and so I am somewhat fatigued, but my iPad is also somewhat fatigued. I didn't touch anything, but he turned off by himself, and then, so let me give a second, please.
Paper. 30 years
Yep,
old or older.
I'm
you
almost,
just
almost,
paper.
I'm got, yep.
He's 30 years younger, you dropped the mic.
Tyranny, Jesus died, and okay, gotcha. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. Ooh. Again, for Jesus, the cross seems a failure of life. People believe Jesus would be the king and save them from the tyranny in the Roman Empire. But Jesus died on the cross with the most vulnerable appearance possible. However, when Jesus completely relied on God, his death became the power of salvation from God. Jesus' weakness turned into the most powerful, meaningful, and perfect work in God. So, dear Nokesville UMC members, do you have your own thorns? Are you suffering from it every day and every night? To have our own thorns is not a sign of unhappiness or despair of life. It is a sign of power of Christ, making us stronger and faithful in God. So don't be discouraged. For when we are weak, then we are strong. God's grace is sufficient for us. Amen.